What's going on, guys? Welcome to another installment of Honest and Uneducated, the show where we talk about anything from movies, movie news, comic books, video games, all sorts of fun stuff like that. One thing off the top, or maybe two things off the top, you can submit topics and questions to the show for us to just talk about whatever you want. Just submit those questions and topics at honestanduneducated@gmail.com. That's honestanduneducated@gmail.com. Aside from that, if you don't always have time to watch the show on YouTube or anything like that, I do upload everything in just audio only format, so it's available on all podcast networks of your choice, Spotify, iTunes, whatever it is you use. But with all that down and out of the way, joining me today is none other than Rick Metz himself. How you doing today, Rick?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. And then we got a third guest here. We got Mr. Jon Knight here.
Your boy John.
Hey, what's up?
It was good to have you back here.
Thanks for having me.
Well, for sure. I mean, last time you were on, we did the big DC fandom reveal breakdown episode. That was a good episode. It was a long episode. We didn't even get to cover everything. There was so much stuff that dropped. And
it's good to have a guest.
Yeah, then DC fandom part 2 is going on right now. So
part 2 right now. Yeah.
Part 2. What's that include?
Well, John, you've been watching some of it, right?
It's yeah, I checked out some of it today. Basically, it's a bunch of pre-recorded stuff that they just made available on demand. So it ranges the whole gamut of DC media properties. You've got basically half-hour segments on all the DC TV shows on the CW, and some of the stuff on what's DC Universe, some of their content. Everything that they did on the original Fandom Day back in August is now available for 24 hours on demand. And then they've got an entire section dedicated to fans, so artwork, cosplay, things like that.
That stuff was cool during the first one. Like, it was cool to see a lot of that in the first one. Is there more, or is it the same kind of stuff?
It's the same kind of stuff. It's a broader range of stuff, though. There's so much content. I mean, I've watched probably 3 hours worth of stuff, and I think I've barely scratched the surface. So
it's cool that they at least put, like, that was the one thing that I said that it was missing. At least what I kind of thought was missing from it was like the extended panels and everything. It's kind of what the cons are all about to some degree, other than walking the floor. So it's good that they threw at least some of those on there, even if it was a month later or whatever it was, a couple weeks later. But
the coolest thing I saw today was they have a I'm a big Young Justice fan, the
great show,
cartoon show. Mm-hmm. So they're doing a live, well, it's not live action because it's pre-recorded, but basically a live action audio play from the show where they have all the voice actors in there, and then the executive producer and is it Weissman, Greg Weissman, I think, and one of the other actors that plays Bug, Forerunner. Is it Forerunner in the show? They are basically the narrators of the play, and so they go through basically an entire episode. It was
like
pretty
a read
cool.
Through?
Like a read through, yeah. But apparently it was written specifically for this. It's not just like they didn't just take one of the old episodes and do a table read. This is like a specific play that they did for this event. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's interestingly enough. Speaking of DC fandom, that was kind of the first kind of topic that just dropped. It was like a couple hours ago today. Junkie XL released the his version, his theme for Justice League, because originally back when they were filming Justice League, like the Snyder cut, it was obviously like Junkie XL, and I'm not sure if Hans Zimmer was actually a part of the Justice League score, but they did collaborate on like BVS. And like Junkie XL and Hans are who wrote like the super dope Wonder Woman theme, the one, that like great theme. It's a great song. And so he released like a little snippet. I can't really play it because I don't think I'd get like any sort of copyright claim for it, but just in case, I'm not gonna play it. But it's really good. Did you have a chance to hear it? Like, it's because in the like Junkie, and I know Junkie was working on the Justice League with Snyder, with Zach initially, but then when Zach had to step off, they pretty much trashed most of what he had like scored for the movie, and they brought Danny Elfman in, and Danny Elfman kind of rescored the whole Joss Whedon cut of Justice League.
I'm not a Danny Elfman fan.
Yeah, Danny Elfman's fine.
He's
but,
got
like,
very quirky music compared to like somebody like Hans Zimmer, who's much more like epic.
Yeah, I'm much more of a Hans Zimmer fan than I am I'm a bigger fan of Hans Zimmer's music than
I think
am
of
of
Tim
Danny
Burton when I
Elfman.
think of Danny Elfman.
Yeah, true. I mean, the original Batman the Animated Series theme though is great.
Is that Danny Elfman?
Yeah, it was Danny Elfman.
Yeah.
And
Fair enough.
like that was like the only kind of cool thing that bringing Danny Elfman into Justice League did was there was one shot of Batman where they played that theme like with it when he jumped off the thing. It was like, but it was like very short lived and it wasn't very exciting just because like I think that was, if I'm not mistaken, it was the only time you heard that classic Batman theme. So it's kind of like, oh, okay. And then they did play the original John Williams Superman theme very briefly in the movie as well. But honestly, as much as I love the John Williams Superman theme, I really like Hans Zimmer's Man of Steel theme. So
Oh yeah.
like that soundtrack is epic. Like I listen
Oh,
to that
for
just like
sure.
all. It's literally that's
Oh,
my
yeah.
ringtone right now. Like the song from Man of Steel is my ringtone right now. Like that's how much I love that theme. So, but yeah,
That's funny because the original Superman from the Richard Donner is my ringtone for.
is it
So, or Sport Superman, just two different eras.
right?
Gosh,
Well,
we need to
there's
get on
like you can
board.
look it up on YouTube if you guys haven't seen it. Someone did like they mixed both of those together and made like one theme, but it's the
Mhm.
John Williams Superman and the Man of Steel theme like mixed into like one song, and it's very fluid. It's pretty epic. Like
Here
it's
I
really
am with
cool.
like my generic Samsung ringtone.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's
I'm gonna have to look that up when we're done because that sounds great.
it's really good, honestly. But yeah, so that's pretty much, guys. If you haven't seen the little clip of that song, it's about a minute long. I guess the video is about a minute and a half long, and the clip from the song's maybe about 40 seconds. But it sounds really
It's good.
epic.
It's
It's
really
it's
good.
really good. It sounds it's weird because it's just Junkie XL doing it, but it obviously still has since Hans kind of wrote the Man of Steel theme, and then he wrote a lot of him
super
and
epic.
Junkie. Yeah, it's just it sounds a lot like a Hans Zimmer-esque kind of score.
Yeah.
Just has a big,
Mhm.
epic, dramatic feel to it, and I don't know. I really liked it, so I'm looking forward to seeing. That was one thing too with the Snyder cut that I didn't really consider them doing. Like kind of just like I don't know. It's not something I just thought of. Like we're gonna get a whole new soundtrack from it, which like I like scores, especially like epic like Hans Zimmer scores, like I said. So I'm like really excited to actually hear what the whole thing's gonna be like. 'Cause, like the Justice
Well, I
League
mean-
theme alone was dope.
He's got what? There's 2 additional hours of footage. I mean, of course, they're going to have to do a ton more
Yeah.
audio for what am I saying? Soundtrack for it. That's crazy.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. Like, luckily, though, he already had most of his work done. I don't know how far along he was before the whole Joss Whedon coming in thing and then switching everything up was, but he obviously had a lot of it done, just never got to finish it. So I'm actually just really excited to hear the whole thing, just because, like I said, I'm a big fan of. For one, I'm a big fan of what I heard. The little short minute of it, like definitely go
Mhm.
check it out.
Oh, it was super epic.
It was really good. Like,
Intense.
I can't really explain what it was like. It was, but it had a lot of the Man of Steel like kind of build up vibes to it, like the flight song. Like it had a lot of those vibes, and then it was just a lot of. It was just good. Go look it up. Just go.
I feel like the score to movies is one of the most underrated parts of films. Like you
Dude,
never
so
hear about
important.
the score in reviews. You see people do reviews on films. They never mention the score, but a good score can add so much weight to a film. It's so
for sure.
Yeah,
It
it's so
does.
important.
There's this. Speaking of which, there was John Williams puts on a concert like every year.
Yeah.
In like the Hollywood Bowl. There was one year when the special like guest that they had on there was Steven Spielberg, and so he came out on stage and was like talking about. He played a scene, I think, from Indiana Jones, and he said like he was talking about the importance of a score, and more importantly, in this situation, the importance of like John Williams and like his music. And he said like, "Look, I'm gonna play you guys a clip without any music from my movie, and you're gonna see essentially how shitty it looks." So he plays like I think like the opening scene from like Temple of Doom or something. I forget which one it was, but he plays the clip, and it's very boring. There's no, it's just the sound effects and everything, whatever. And then he's like, and here's the same exact scene with John Williams music, and it's like fucking epic.
Makes
like
it way
just
better.
it makes this, it literally makes the scene good. And like we got Steven Spielberg literally sitting there saying, without the John Williams score, this is essentially garbage. like Steven Spielberg himself is saying it about
True.
his own movie, and
True.
it's like, but yeah, kind of speaking.
Well, the
to that
music
point,
makes
like,
it for sure.
yeah, I mean, so a good score, you're gonna notice it.
Oh yeah,
And that's and the best scores too, even like are just the ones that are very subversive and just set the mood. Like a good horror movie would just have like creepy sounds, like it kind of integrated in with the score. Just
Yeah.
definitely need a good score, and there's plenty of testament to do it. And then it's always nice when you get one that you really like the Man of Steel theme, because then you can get a cool ringtone out of it if you want. There's always that. But anyways, guys, if you haven't seen it, go check it out, and then when you do go check it out, let us know what you think down in the comment section below. Let's move into our next topic here, guys. And I know Rick, me and you just watched this right before here because you hadn't seen it.
True.
But we're going to get into this, John. I haven't asked if I don't know if you've seen it yet.
Okay.
The Dune trailer. Did you watch the Dune trailer?
I have not.
You did not watch it.
I don't know much about Dune.
I don't
Oh,
either,
really?
but I will say it's fucking epic. Excuse
There's-
me.
The
Okay.
trailer's pretty good.
Yeah.
So you never watched like the original Dune movie from like the 70s or whatever?
No, like I know it's a thing. Dune to me is in the same ballpark, the same arena as Tron. Like there's this reverence for these old classic sci-fi films from the 70s that I just don't. I never got exposed to, so I just don't have that touchstone.
I'm not the biggest fan of Tron by any means. See, with
No.
my example for that would be Blade Runner, because like I've actually like I think 3 times tried to sit through the first Blade Runner movie, and I couldn't finish it. Like I just got bored of it. Like, and I know everybody loves Blade Runner. Everybody talks about how amazing Blade Runner is. I watched Blade Runner 2049, who Denis Villeneuve was the director of Blade Runner 2049. He is now the director of this new Dune movie. And this new Dune movie isn't necessarily a remake as much as it's just it's supposedly following the books much more than it's following the book much more than it's like it's not a sequel and it's not necessarily a reboot, but I guess it technically
It's
is
like
a
its own
reboot to
thing.
some degree. But it's just a new Dune movie more closely following the book, which I have not read. All I remember is the movie. That was like, it's not the greatest movie in the world, but it has just like a lot of cool imagery in it more than anything.
The original Dune?
Yeah,
Yeah. Sting
Like-
was in that.
yeah. Like there's Patrick Stewart was in it.
Yeah, there's all kinds of actors.
I mean,
in there.
it was like a who's who back in the day, and it kind of is a who's who of actors in this one too, because the cast for this movie is
It
incredible.
looks fucking epic.
It does
Like,
look epic. Like
after watching the trailer, I was like, okay, like I'm into this.
yeah, and
you
they
know,
used
Pink Floyd.
the Pink Floyd song Eclipse. They did like a slowed down kind of, I don't know.
It wasn't
like a
by Pink
remix.
Floyd. It was just like
Yeah.
a remake.
Yeah, and it was really good. I don't know how well the song actually fit with the trailer, in all honesty, but the song itself was cool. Like,
No, it sounded good with the trailer, I thought.
Who's the lead?
what's
Timothy
his-
Chalamet?
Yeah, Timothy Chalamet.
Okay,
That's this guy here. It's this
I'm
guy.
actually checking it out while you guys are recapping some of it.
I will
It's got
say,
He's a great
It's
actor.
got a very I don't know if it's the color palette that they're using or what, but it's got a very Game of Thrones-esque.
that's pretty much what Dune is like Game of Thrones in space.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Okay.
it's like futuristic. Game of
It's
Thrones.
very much more a political thing, because you kind of get. And this is one of the things like that's kind of bad about the trailer in some ways is, one, like, you don't know anything about Dune, so you're really not going to get a lot out of that trailer. I think it was really made for a lot of
People that,
people
like,
who know
understand.
kind of what's going on, and
Okay,
which I'm hoping they do like a better marketing job for this movie than they did for Blade Runner 2049, because like Blade Runner 2049 was a really damn good movie, and that's coming from somebody who didn't. I have never been able to sit through the first Blade Runner movie. Like, I know that's sacrilegious to a lot of people, but like I haven't even been able to sit through that whole movie. And I went into Blade Runner 2049 and I loved it. But they marketed that movie explicitly to Blade Runner fans. They didn't market it for like more mass appeal because that movie essentially bombed at the box office. It cost like almost $300 million for them to make and like market, if not more than that. And I think it only made like a little over 200 million. So like they lost money on Blade Runner 2049, even though like it's like an A+ movie. Like it's a great movie. So I hope they do a better job marketing this, just because again with this trailer, I'm getting kind of the same vibes in that it's just kind of being marketed to Dune fans, which is a little bit of Dune fans out there. It's not Star Wars, it's like not a super.
It's different.
Yeah, it really didn't do too well like it when the first movie came out. Like it wasn't like some big thing. Granted, it wasn't like it wasn't like the greatest movie in the world.
It's kind of like a cult classic, though, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it is, and that's mainly because like nowadays too, like a lot more people read the books and like whatever, or the book. I keep saying books because I'm used to everything having multiple books, but I think there's just one Dune book, and I might be wrong about that, but I just remember saying one book called Dune, and but they had the Dune movie came out in like the 70s, and they did like a Children of Doom TV series that came out I think like in the 80s or 90s. And like they tried to like kind of revive it and like do something with that. And I think that was supposed to be, don't take my word for it, but I think it was like a prequel, if not a sequel. It was one of the two. It wasn't just like a retelling of like the Dune movie in TV series form. It was either a prequel or a sequel. I have it. I just haven't watched it yet. But so I wanted to. I literally got the original Dune movie and the Children of Doom series to watch again, because I literally haven't watched the movie since I was a kid. And like when I was a kid, I had no idea what the hell was going on. I
can imagine.
They just talked about spice and like the sandworms look cool.
Spice must flow.
Yeah, like then like fear is the mind killer. That's all the stuff I really know. Like all I really remember about it. Pretty much everything they showed in the trailer was the only stuff I remember from watching it as a kid. I don't remember anything else. But from all the stuff I've heard of people who like are like super hyped for Dune and have read the book, and are like, whatever, in that Dune sphere, it's essentially like Game of Thrones in space. It's much more political. You kind of get that vibe from it in the trailer vaguely, because it's like his dad's, pretty much going to get overthrown and whatever. And he's like, oh no, my dad's fine. He's got a planet. And they're like, well, he's about to lose that. Like, and that's kind of like where it goes. Like political space thriller kind of thing, with a bunch of cool special effects and stuff. But what has me most excited for it is the director, Denis Villeneuve. Because like I don't know if you're familiar with all of his work, other than like I said, like Blade Runner 2049. But he made Arrival. He made
oh god, such a fucking good movie.
Yeah, he made Enemy, Sicario, Prisoners with Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal. Like every movie he has made has been like just stellar. They've all been good. He hasn't made a bad movie yet. And they've all been not just like good movies, like they're all great. Like every movie he's made so far has been just awesome. So like that has me like super excited, because this Dune movie wasn't just something he randomly just got picked to do. Like he wanted to make this movie. This was like something just like Blade Runner. Like he had the idea to make this. He's a huge fan of this stuff. He wants to bring it to life, and that always excites me more than anything. Is like when
so
he has
a vision for it. He has a vision that he wants to. Yeah, that makes a big difference.
Yeah. You just watched the trailer, right? You said, what'd you think of it? What'd you think of it?
Like I said, it gives, again, I don't know if the color palette or gave me a kind of a Game of Thrones vibe from it, but it looks good. It looks, I was kind of shocked at all the people I recognize, the actors that are in it that I didn't realize were going to be in it.
It's a who's who, man.
Like it really is.
Cast. Yeah,
the cast is insane. Stellan Skarsgård is playing the Baron Harkonnen guy, the big dude that was in came out of the oil bath. Like he was in like a fat suit. That's Stellan Skarsgård.
One of the Skarsgård brothers?
No, the dad.
Oh, the dad?
Yeah, the dad from like Thor and stuff.
Yeah.
It was like I didn't even notice at first like that was him, because they did a really good job with the fat suit.
Yeah.
I really, I don't know what it is. I hope it's excellent. Like I now hearing you talk about it, you've kind of piqued my interest on it, and I'll probably go check it out now. But I don't know, like I get really apprehensive about these old kind of not mainstream, kind of fringe cultish movies that they redo. What was the one you just mentioned previously? The
Blade Runner?
Blade Runner. What was the and then Tron we talked about earlier? They redid Tron a couple years back, and like I'm not sure what they're banking on. I'm not sure if they're banking on trying to get a new audience in, if they're counting on the old audience just being that excited and their excitement pulling in new people. I don't know, but I have yet to. You said Blade Runner 2049 was excellent, so maybe that's the.
Did you not see it?
I haven't seen it. No.
Did you watch the original Blade Runner?
I did. I watched it. I don't know. It's only been probably about 10 years since I watched that because I had always heard so much about it, and it was fine. It was better than I expected it to be for being a movie from 1980 or so.
Yeah, it was like it was sometime in the 80s. Yeah,
yeah. So those old sci-fi with the old sci-fi graphics.
Right.
But it was fine. I just didn't. It didn't. I didn't love it so much that like when I heard 2049 was coming out, I was like, oh, I got to go see it. So.
Right, and that's the thing. Like, that's the only. That's what has me hesitant with it. Is like I hope that they do a better job with marketing this to. I don't know. To just more of like a general audience because like with that trailer, like even me, someone who's like I'm gonna go see this movie regardless because like it's kind of nostalgic for me. Even though this is like technically speaking before my time to some degree, I watched it as a kid all the time, just like I did the original Star Wars trilogy. You know what I mean? So like. I'm excited to see it just based on that, but to someone who has like never seen it, I don't think this trailer really would have sold you on it because it really didn't sell me on it. I was already going to see it regardless. I don't think the trailer was really that great. Eric, like you really liked it though.
I thought it was sweet.
Yeah, I mean, I like all the imagery and everything they had, but like I just don't think like. I mean, it was just a first trailer, but at the same time, this movie is supposed to come out in December.
I thought it looked super epic.
It looks epic. I mean, it looks very.
I'm like into that sort of stuff though. Like I like epic stories and big movies, and so.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Like I said, I'm mostly excited for nostalgia purposes, but mainly because of Denis Villeneuve, the director. Because, like I said, I haven't been disappointed by him at all. Like by any of the movies he's made, even his smaller ones like Enemy and Prisoners. Like Prisoner, did you ever see Prisoners? Either of you?
No.
Definitely go watch that. It's Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal, and like it's like a thriller movie. I think it's like Hugh Jackman's like kids go missing or something. Essentially, like without spoiling too much of anything what happens, but like Jake Gyllenhaal's like the cop, and like but it's like it's really like there's a lot of tension. It's really good. I mean, obviously Jake and Hugh are like some of the best actors like in the world. So, but like it's super good. Like. It seems like a kind of paint by numbers kind of story, but like it's good. Go watch it. But you guys got anything else on Dune, or you want to jump into
the other stuff?
All right, but what do you guys think? You let us know down in the comment section below what you thought of the Dune trailer. We all kind of, I guess, have some sort of mixed feelings about it, but we're all looking forward to it to some degree. So whatever it is, let us know down in the comment section below. But let's get into our next topic here, and the rest of this show is kind of pretty much only going to be like a Star Wars special because there's been I don't know, there's been a couple of different Star Wars related news topics that have broke here as of late, and the first one we're going to get into is John Boyega kind of coming out and saying, I don't know, just a lot of random things really about his experience on the Star Wars franchise and what he kind of feels that Disney did with his character and everything. And I don't know if you guys had a chance to.
I got some opinions on.
Do you got some opinions on this?
Yeah, I mean, like, I know what he said. Do you want me to just like say it?
Yeah, if you can remember it verbatim, like
I'll be real. I don't think Finn was that good of a character.
But do you think it wasn't that good of a character because they wrote it like shit?
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it's nothing to do with John Boyega. Like, he's a great actor. He's he's done stuff with like the movement of like the BLM shit and outside of like the movie. But I think they wrote him as a bad character.
Yeah. And, well, that's the thing too, and I think probably what irks him the most, not to like put words in his mouth by any means, and I think he kind of said this in one of the interviews, or at least kind of like I don't know, insinuated it, is like they set up The Force Awakens to where he was almost like the main character, and then like in some ways, he was kind of the central focus, and then he really got just like pushed aside, at least Finn did in The Last Jedi,
Oh, for sure.
and did like literally nothing. And the worst part of the movie was what him and Kelly Marie Tran's character was doing. Like that whole casino bit. Not only was it like terrible, like just
It was
in
bad.
general,
It was
but
really
it
bad.
did nothing for the story because, like, spoiler alert, I'm sure everybody's seen The Last Jedi and has their own feelings about it. But like literally at the end of that whole arc, everything they did in that casino thing was for nothing. Like they do all the thing to try to get the codes or whatever to get through the force field or whatever it is, but it was literally all for nothing. It didn't progress the
Like,
story any further.
I'll be totally honest. John Boyega's my boy. Like, I got that dude, but like they made him into a bad character. I feel like.
Yeah,
And,
which is what he's complaining about.
yeah,
for the
no,
most
and
part.
I feel like he's got every right to feel that.
Yeah, because I mean, he even said and at the end of this too, I'll just read this one. We can go over some more of it if you want, but he says like they gave all the nuance to Adam Driver, all the nuance to Daisy Ridley. Let's be honest,
Characters though, it's Kylo
but
Ren and
they set it
Rey
up though in
like,
The Force Awakens to where he like, because you got to think, if you remember The Force Awakens, he was literally like the central focus of the movie. Poe was supposed to die when the TIE fighter crashed, but they didn't want to like Oscar Isaac just like kind of.
I didn't like
weasel
any of
his
the
way
new
into not
movies.
dying because he was
Yeah.
like, I don't want to play another character that just dies in the beginning because he had just done that in another movie. So they
Kylo
like
Ren's
let him stay
cool.
alive.
Like Ben Solo, like I'm cool with that, but like he's a stormtrooper.
Yeah, but you gotta think, in the first movie, in Force Awakens, they set up the whole thing with him, and like he honestly, it would have been a very cool story for them to do, like a defected stormtrooper, essentially, someone from the Empire
That's like
defecting
Force
from
sensitive,
them.
maybe.
We're not the Empire, but like, yeah, well, that's what I was gonna get
And
into
that's
too.
what he
They kind of
did.
teased the fact that he was like Force sensitive multiple times throughout
Say,
the
though-
whole trilogy, and they went nowhere with it. They could have done like so much more.
He goes toe to toe with Kylo,
He
now
does.
he loses, but I mean, he a completely untrained
Goes toe to
you
toe
know,
with a Sith Lord,
Yeah.
like a fake
Yeah.
Sith Lord. But
I mean, let's call it what he was a Sith Lord, and the First Order was the Empire. I mean, we can call it what it is. Like,
I'll be real, they gave him a pretty good send off in The Rise of Skywalker. Like, I mean, he did a lot of stuff that really benefited, the rebels or the rebellion, whatever you want to call it. And like he was not a bad character in all reality, which is kind of contradictory to what I said, but
well, no, it's like they
he helped a lot.
he was a good Finn started out as a good character that had a lot of potential, but just like he's saying, I think we're agreeing more with what John Boyega is saying more so than saying that Finn's a bad character. Is they really dropped the ball, like not only with like them having a black lead in like a Star Wars movie where he mentions like they kind of dropped the ball on that, like you put
It was cool.
yeah, and it's like they do all this thing like to have hold on, where's this quote? Because he was like, I think it's this one. Like, you guys know what to do with Daisy Ridley, you knew what to do with Adam Driver, you knew what to do with all these other people, but when it came to Kelly Marie Tran, when it came to John Boyega,
They're the main
fuck
fucking
all.
characters. Excuse me.
Yeah,
but
but you look at the original trilogy, and they were able to juggle a multi-character cast. It wasn't just Luke and they were able to give Han some
Han was
characters
just as important as
there.
Luke, for sure.
Yeah, and they were able to work Leia and Obi-Wan to an extent.
They definitely
throughout
put him
there.
on like the wayside in the last movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, especially in the
feel
second movie.
I feel like his character Finn was a good character. He had a really interesting setup, but he was a badly developed character. He was
Well, yeah,
very
I would
poorly
agree.
throughout
Yeah.
the series. And I think that's kind of just like Rob said, that's what he's saying. He's saying that they just and I mean, to be honest though, wasn't the series just kind of badly developed? I mean,
Oh yeah, I mean,
they did
100%.
have Disney
Yeah.
Disney did this kind of like, okay, now we're going to jump over and you take over. You tell us what you want to do with this. And now you
Yeah.
take over. It was kind of like a hodgepodge way to make a series. And
100%.
I
And
think
that's
Rise
the
of
thing.
Skywalker was kind of a shitstorm.
That movie's terrible.
Yeah.
But they had like literally they initially, the crazy thing is, did have a plan to some degree, not like a Kevin Feige style plan where he actually he knows what's going to happen in 3 movies from now, because he plans out 5 years worth of movies, and look how successful the MCU is. But with the initial plan, like they had with having Josh Trank and then Colin Trevorrow come in to do the next movies and everything. Or Ryan Johnson was always going to come in and do it. Josh Trank was supposed to do that Boba Fett movie. That got thrown away too.
That would be cool.
There were like collaborations at the beginning between JJ and Ryan and Josh Trank, to not like a writer's room, like they put all the effort into, like Disney put all the effort into like doing the High Republic stuff, where they actually got them all together, mapped out everything, and then developed it all together. They didn't quite do that, but there was some, at least, Ryan knew what JJ was doing, so he was able to write his script kind of based on what happened. And then Josh Trank obviously was able to like talk to Ryan at some point and see what was happening with, or not Josh Trank, but
Be honest, Ryan Johnson fucked up Star Wars.
Well, the thing is, Colin Trevorrow's leaked script for the what would have been the 3rd movie, Duel of Fates, which is a much cooler name than fucking Rise of Skywalker, but that whole script that he had written based off what Ryan had done and what JJ had done before him, it made a lot more sense than what Rise of Skywalker was. Like, it all had a much cleaner playthrough. Like, it was much better.
Sure, but I also think that the fatal flaw of these Star Wars movies and why they didn't make all the money in the world is because, which they should have. This is the final.
They still made back
part to the most. Yeah, but they should have made more. I mean, every movie should have grossed $2 billion. I mean,
they make more. Those 3 movies, though. I think between, even if you have to include no, I think just the trilogy, the sequel trilogy, I think on average made more movie per film than the MCU movies do.
More movie per film?
More money. Right? They made more money per film on average than the MCU movies do. The MCU movies like average almost $1 billion. But
Star
these
Wars
movies
is
are like $2 billion.
Like,
almost $2 billion.
Star Wars movie comes out, it's going to make money.
Oh,
yeah.
Han Solo would like to have a word with you, Rick.
Very true.
That movie was light years better, no pun intended.
I thought it was that bad. Like, I had no promise.
Solo was actually good. Like,
yeah,
it was a good movie.
It's well developed. Like, I thought it was good.
Like,
I feel like Lucas for all the problems of the prequels, for all that, he had a story. He had a beginning, a middle, and an end, and you can see it executed in each of his trilogies. The original trilogy, you have a beginning, middle, and end. The prequels, you have a beginning, middle, and end, and then the overarching story, he clearly had a beginning, middle, and end, and you just don't get that with these last 3. You get a very hodgepodge.
It's very mixed.
Hey, this is JJ. I'm going to set up these mysteries. Hey, Ryan Johnson, I don't care about your mysteries, and so we're going to say it's not that important, and we're going to move on to what I want to do. And so it's just a very disjointed. And then then they pass it back to JJ, and JJ's like, "But my mysteries do mean something, so here's what they mean."
Well, they passed it back to JJ, and then it's just, well, let's try to please all the fans and just do.
That's all it came down to.
Nothing. Doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense. Let's just do as much as we can to make the fans happy.
Yeah, like what can we throw in here to make people happy? And
so, as much as John Boyega is upset, I mean, it's kind of understandable. He's a casualty of a very, very poorly planned.
I was just about to say that. Like, it's all poorly planned. Like,
everybody is. Because even Adam Driver should feel offended, because what they initially had planned for him to do in Duel of Fates was much cooler than what happened in Rise of Skywalker.
Sure. Like, I thought his redemption was cool.
Yeah, I'm really interested in this Duel of Fates. I feel like I have to go research this now.
Have you not seen any of it?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you should go.
Oh, it's intense.
Like, there's no redemption for him or anything.
He's just a bad guy.
He's just the bad guy throughout, and like he goes and finds not to spoil like the whole thing for anything, but I mean you'll never see it. It's never going to be made. But the whole script's out there, and he goes in like to, I forget what the planet name is, but it's like an ancient Sith Lord who like he was just like some weird alien thing. What
he gets disfigured and
I mean It was super weird. There's concept art for it too. This like ancient Sith Lord thing, and I think did they say that it trained
It was like
Plagueis
a
or something?
giant baby or something like that.
It was
like,
weird.
It was like a baby's head.
Yeah,
it was like some real weird shit.
well, I can try to pull some of it up if you want to talk for a minute.
Well, yeah, like he went to like a swamp, kind of like on Dagobah, and
Okay.
basically he was going to meet this guy who was like this crazy ancient Sith Lord. He teaches him some stuff, and then Kylo Ren kills him or something like that. And literally, they said though it was like the way that the guy was supposed to look was supposed to be like a giant baby's head, which is like the weirdest shit ever.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
basically, like he
that's
never
the-
became good. He was just Kylo Ren.
Yeah, that's the Sith tradition, right? The apprentice kills the master, and
Yeah,
so
there
that's
it is.
Well, oh, whoa.
Right? Like it was some weird stuff. It was like a
it's
giant
like this
spider
thing.
monster with a baby head.
Yeah, like it was some weird shit. But
Poor
this is,
Valum.
yeah, and this is like some, I don't know, like some Sith vampire lord is what he's called, dude.
He's like thousands of years old.
Yeah,
Wow.
like yeah, it was like they had some cool ideas for this thing.
I thought it was kind of neat, but
Like, some of the shit was weird.
it was
but,
weird,
like,
but it was cool.
it was super cool, and like there like no redemption.
And I
It's
think
just, like,
too that the thing that he used to get to what was the Exegol
mhm.
in the movie, like it actually blew up and it like disfigured him in the beginning part of the movie or something like that, and used Beskar steel, like the Mandalorian stuff, to repair himself. Like it was this real like out there concept. But,
Huh.
Yeah, it was cool. It was unfortunately the movie that we'll never get that was like super compelling. Like
I thought
it
that
had
would've
its
been,
problems
honestly-
like here and there. Like it was like I don't know about all this, but like
I thought that would have been better.
it would have been better than what we got in my opinion. But
Yeah.
and kind of speaking of which, then it'll kind of segue into our next topic because it's kind of goes into what we were saying where everything's kind of was just like disjointed because well actually guys first let us know what you guys think of John Boyega's comments down in the comment section below. Okay, let us know because I think we all are kind of in agreement that Finn could have been a cool character and was set up pretty good, and
He
they
could have been.
definitely did. Just kind of went downhill. It went downhill just like the rest of the franchise did, real quick.
I honestly forgot. I forgot he was even in the Last Jedi until you reminded me of the.
They made him forgettable.
Yeah.
It's just like
I mean, I knew he was in there. I knew in my mind. I know he's in there.
but he literally does nothing. It's just like Captain Phasma had like
Dude, she was
nothing. to
nothing.
do. Like they just made a character that looked cool, and then like
she looked
did
super
nothing.
cool, but
Does
she was nothing.
Looks cool, does nothing. And then they set Finn up to be cool, does nothing.
He does nothing.
Just nothing.
That's how the entire new like trilogy was, though.
Pretty much. And then you got Mary Sue Ray. So,
Yeah, we talked about that earlier.
yeah.
Actually.
So, but that's what we're gonna get into. Anyway, guys, with the John Boyega stuff, you let us know down in the comment section below. We're gonna get into our next topic here, which is Daisy Ridley had some comments recently that came out. I don't know, John, if you saw these ones, because me and Rick were briefly talking about it before. But she came on to Jimmy Kimmel's show, and there was a guest host that they had that was Josh Gad, and like those two are like close, her and him and Daisy, and she got on to saying like it was obviously Josh Gad's a big Star Wars fan, so anytime like he talks to Daisy in like a public setting, he always in the past tried to get like her to spill some sort of news to him and stuff.
Yeah.
And but she went on to say that just as we were saying, where like everything was kind of disjointed, she goes on to kind of drop a bomb to say like at one point they were initially throwing around the idea of her being a Kenobi.
That would have been way cooler.
And I said from the start, literally when Force Awakens came out, after I saw it, I was like, because everyone had like, well, who's Rey's parents? Everyone had their theories. And of course I had my theory too. And I was like, it'd be really cool if she's a Kenobi. And I always thought it would be really cool if you learn that Kenobi ended up getting with that Mandalorian girl from the Clone Wars that he loved, because if you watched the Clone Wars, you knew they kind of hinted that like he had the hots for her, and like it would have just made sense that like we learned that she's not only a descendant of a Kenobi, but she's also a Mandalorian. And I thought that would have been
cool as shit.
Yeah, that would have been a really fucking cool backstory for her. And
especially with like the Mandalorian being out as well.
Yeah, it would have tied everything in
that.
really good, because not to mention it really would have made timing very well, because Rise of Skywalker came out right around the time Mandalorian dropped, because you saw the first trailer or something, some teaser for The Rise of Skywalker dropped with the first episodes of Mandalorian. But I also thought it would have been much more poetic, and I was telling Rick this earlier, if she ended up being a Kenobi, because we had Obi-Wan trying to save Anakin Skywalker and failed, and then the way Rise of Skywalker ended up turning out, if she was a Kenobi, she actually redeemed Ben. So she was actually able to save the Skywalker she was trying to save.
The Skywalker at the end.
Yeah. So it was like Kenobi trying to save a Skywalker in the prequels and the original trilogy and everything, and then same kind of thing happening, which goes even back further as far as the poeticness, that because George always talked about that, how there was always like a rhythm and everything was poetic. If you watch, like, you'd have to watch George talk about it, but he's like, yeah, when the first trilogy, you watch the original trilogy and it kind of like lines up and it has like a
I don't like your George
dance, huh?
I don't like your George impression.
That's kind of what
he
talks
talk like more like this.
He doesn't talk. He kind of just talks like this anymore. He's just really unenthused about it. Yeah. But I don't know. It would have been much more poetic in my opinion. That's like I said. I kind of called that literally since Force Awakens, because I thought that would have been. I mean, obviously, would have been much cooler than what ended up happening.
I actually remember you saying something about that years ago when we were talking. We got talking about Star Wars when we first met, and I think you mentioned something about having her be a Kenobi, and I always thought that would be a cool. It was the Skywalker saga or whatever, but she didn't need to be a Skywalker. She could have been a Kenobi, and you still have that connection with Kylo.
I thought,
just
gonna throw it out there. I thought the Palpatine thing was so stupid.
It was stupid. It didn't make any sense, and it caused too many more questions too, because you're like, okay, Palpatine's granddaughter implies that there was some son or daughter out there prior, and we know nothing about that.
No,
it's
literally
questions.
like they just threw it in.
Yeah, they just throw it in just to give her some. Pretty much just for that one scene, which she wouldn't have to be a Palpatine to use Force lightning, JJ. Like, anybody who's a Force user has the ability to use Force powers. So that she didn't have to be a Palpatine in order to do that. But I feel like that was the only reason they went with it, was like, well, it'd be really cool if we had that scene where she's trying to hold the ship back and then the lightning comes out, and then we can say she's a Palpatine, and it would all make sense.
Well, yeah, because
like,
Palpatine's the only dude who can use Force.
Yeah, it's like that's not how the Force works, dude.
No. And on top of that, her being like a Mary Sue, like we talked about. But...
yeah, because not only did they give her the Force lightning shit and say, "Oh, you're a descendant of Palpatine," she could Force heal people.
Like all this stuff that we've never seen in Star Wars, just all of a sudden, just.
Well, that's not true, because you did see Baby Yoda do the Force healing thing before, like, because they actually dropped that prior to Rise of Skywalker, so it wasn't a new thing.
Main movie character.
Yeah, I know.
And it was like she just couldn't lose. Like everything she did.
No, that's the thing. They made her way too much of a Mary Sue, and like it wasn't like too bad, but like even if you look at the original trilogy, Luke lost his hand. Like he went to fight Darth Vader and he fucking lost. Like he didn't win that fight.
No,
like everyone told him like, you're gonna lose, dude. Don't do it. But he went and did it.
Like he got his ass kicked.
He got destroyed. But like Rey, she wins the fight with she holds her own to a draw against Kylo. Like that's what I'm saying. She didn't even lose a hand or anything. She didn't even get scraped up really. Like it's just kind of ridiculous in that regard. But
shoot, I mean, Finn took on Kylo Ren, and Kylo Ren's pretty powerful. Like, and
he's stupid powerful. But then not only was Finn able to take him on, Rey essentially beat him.
Yeah, like 3 times, and it was just like, sorry,
no, it's a frustrating topic. It's definitely a frustrating topic, but mainly though, because we were talking about like it being disjointed, like because it actually ties in with this, because she even goes on to mention in one of these quotes here that like, while even filming Rise of Skywalker, she did not even know which way they were going yet. Like she said,
that's
like
stupid.
At points in time, like during filming, it got to the point where like the Kenobi thing came up, and then like a little later down the road, before they started filming, the idea of her being a Palpatine came up, and she's like, cool, yeah, whatever. And then that happened like so many times that literally like she literally says while filming she wasn't even sure. Like, so she just
that's insane. Like, how do you like kudos to her for the performance she did give, because I don't know how you build a character in your mind and how you play that character out if you don't know you don't know what what kind of their backstory is. It's
Right.
just, and
Yeah,
I
like,
guess
they don't even tell her.
in the dark was their intentions, so that she would play it as she was in the dark, since Rey was supposedly in the dark. But I feel like when she's that tied that powerfully through the Force to that powerful of a Force using family, there's going to be some inherent traits that carry.
Right. And that's
And
why,
they-
like I said, I
True.
literally think they did it just because of that Force lightning scene, which again is
That
dumb.
was stupid.
Like, not that the scene was like dumb or anything. Like, it was cool when it happened, but it's like she could have still been a Kenobi and used Force lightning. Like, it doesn't work.
Anybody
that
can
way.
use Force
Anybody can use Force lightning, especially
If you're
since
Force sensitive enough, it's a
yeah.
power.
Well, that's the thing too. It's a dark side power, and they already kind of teased in
Is it a
Last. Yeah, it is. And but they teased in Last Jedi where she, like, Luke even says, like, you went straight for the dark. So it's like they already set it up to where, like, she had like kind of a weird connection to the Force as it is. So like it would have made sense just for her to have the ability to tap into a dark side power unknowingly, because they showed her off to be some crazy Force sensitive, powerful person without a backstory anyway. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of stupid.
Yeah.
But
That's all I gotta say.
yeah, the main thing with this, though, again, is just the kind. It just further illustrates the fact that, like, they did not have a plan for it, and like they were throwing stuff in and trying to come up with what they were going to do on the spot. Which, I mean, it happens.
I don't think J.J. Abrams, like, I don't know how to say it. Like, I don't think he was the right person to direct any of those movies. Like,
I don't know.
maybe he was. He was good. I mean,
I like Force Awakens.
I will grant you that
Awakens
he
was
didn't
good.
execute it well. I just don't know who would have executed it those.
you've
well.
just gotta. I feel like stick with the story. You know what I mean? Like from
isn't
Force
that-
Awakens to Last Jedi to Rise of Skywalker, it's just like they mixed it up so much.
Oh yeah, it was
But
insane.
isn't that Disney's fault? Do you think? Because here's what I think. I think Disney said, George, we'll give you your would they pay 3.5 billion, 4.5 billion?
It's insane.
It was something like, I think it was like 4 billion something. Yeah,
4 billion. Okay, so let's call it 4 billion. I
Lot of
think
money.
they said, we're laying out $4 billion. We got to turn this around, start making money. Right. And they backed up the dump truck and got the OG cast to come back, and they were like, let's go. And they didn't take the proper time to build the story. They should have bought the rights to it, and the first movie shouldn't have hit until now. Like, I mean, that was done back in what, 2012, 2013. They
Yeah.
should have given at least
That was
5
a
to
minute.
10 years to really evaluate how best to move that franchise forward. Instead, they jumped right in the deep end.
well, I think too, like, they mainly just they wouldn't even necessarily needed a ton of time with it. Like, they just needed to have they needed to set up the trilogy and then write out the trilogy. Like,
It wasn't a
not just
trilogy,
write a
like-
movie, and we'll piece it together along the way, which is essentially what happened. Like,
Yeah,
if they would have just said,
exactly.
like, this is what's gonna happen, like Kylo's bad guy, Rey's good guy, all the way through the end, and like, whatever. Like, they
If they
do
knew
that.
at the end that they wanted Kylo to be redeemed, that's fine. Then build that arc up. Don't just kind of haphazardly
Yeah.
be like,
And
now-
tease
now-
it more, like, because they could have like done a lot more, like, had a lot more scenes with him actually struggling, like, with both sides, because they didn't have that. He just
No,
kind
he
of
had
like,
a couple scenes, but it wasn't like anything crazy.
not like that, because like in the end, like, they showed from the start in Force Awakens that this dude was fully gone. He killed his dad, like,
Oh, he destroyed the Jedi Temple.
yeah, like he had, like, he was done. He wasn't a good guy anymore. Like, they set it up to where, like, he wasn't gonna be redeemed. But then, hey, everyone really wants to see Kylo and Rey, like, get together, so he's got to be a good guy now.
Which was weird. Like, I did not expect that kiss.
It was
but-
kind of it was just as force of a kiss as the Kelly Marie Tran and Finn kiss in the end of the Last Jedi.
I forgot that even.
Everybody did,
Like,
because
that was
stupid.
ridiculous.
It was
That was
dumb.
stupid. It was like they just. Sorry.
Sensitive subject. I know, sensitive subject.
Yeah.
But anyway,
As a
guys,
life Star Wars fan, I just feel like I felt like I wasn't even watching a Star Wars movie the last couple movies. Like,
I mean, again, they didn't have a plan for it.
you see my face? Like, sorry for you.
That's how everybody feels. That's how everybody feels. But
Just real quick, just your thoughts. 10, 20 years from now, does Disney reboot Star Wars?
like reboot the original trilogy, or
Yeah,
like remake the original trilogy, or just do new things.
Reboot the Skywalker saga.
I'd be into that.
I don't want them to.
I'm just saying I'd be into that.
I told Rick this. I forget when. I think it was last week
You're
on our
wrong.
episode when we were talking about the High Republic stuff came out with young Yoda. He's like 700 years old instead of 900 years old. Lil Yo. I don't like that Disney Star Wars is just sticking to the same familiar characters that we already know. And
like, I mean, they could do that, and they could do their own thing too.
I'd much rather them do something new, like new characters.
Would you not like to see the Skywalker saga like rebooted?
Something new and doing well.
Sebastian Stan.
I know. I don't need to see the same story over and over again. Like I don't think that's that's not compelling to me. Like I'd much rather. There's so much more they can do. Like I've seen Luke Skywalker and what he did. Like I get it. Like I don't need to see it again. And especially, why would you want the Skywalker saga rebooted? Because then you'd have to sit through the Rise of Skywalker again.
Like, but that would give him a chance. That would give him a chance to correct.
That's what I'm saying.
Then just tell a new story. Just tell a new story. I don't need to see.
I'm not saying they will. I'm just saying in this kind of cyclical media environment that we live in, where eventually things get rebooted and restarted.
I bet they will do it, but if they'd actually do a retelling and a reboot of the original trilogy, like retell Luke's story kind of thing, and then like Anakin's story and everything, it will be 10, 20, 30 years from now kind of thing.
For sure. Like it's not going to be soon.
Like, and it'll probably be in a time where they haven't made Star Wars in a while too.
Well, they've got a lot of other material they can work with. Like
well,
that's the good thing about Star Wars.
Star Wars is a huge universe. Because even
Jinx.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They're even playing it safe. Like you could argue, like I would argue, even with something like The Mandalorian, which is a fresh take on something, they're still playing it very safe by sticking in a familiar time frame. You have familiar characters in Mandalorians. Stormtroopers are there. Moffs are there. Now in season 2, they're going a step further and literally bringing in Ahsoka Tano. So it's more existing characters, more stuff we already know, as opposed to let's tell a new story 3,000 years after this shit so we can literally do whatever we want, or 3,000 years before so we could do whatever we want.
I feel like with The Mandalorian, though, they have a map and they're going. It's been planned out well enough and executed well enough that I think they could branch out from that and build new characters, new worlds.
Season 1 of The Mandalorian was better than any of the three movies that came. Like,
yeah. That episode on Tatooine was worse than Rise of Skywalker, though.
It was, and it was stupid.
Is
that the one that Bryce Dallas Howard? Is that the one that Bryce Dallas Howard?
No, the Bryce Dallas Howard one was good. That was the one with the AT-AT or whatever.
But
ATST, like shooting down. It wasn't the AT-AT. It was ATST, the little small one.
I'll be real though. Like The Mandalorian is great compared to like whack ass like new. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, The Mandalorian quality wise overall was much better, and they do have a plan with that. And I mean, they got Baby Yoda, so it's always like they pretty much got to win.
Beat Baby Yoda,
like no matter what. Like
speaking of which,
yeah.
Oh.
I got the John. I don't know if you know. I have the sideshow like.
Oh, I did.
Nice one coming. Yeah, it's coming soon.
I just had to like throw that out there. You talked about it.
I'm very excited. So the 1-to-1 scale, fucking, he's got like real hair and stuff, dude. Like,
it's gonna be awesome.
It's very exciting. Did you see the Hot Toys when they made though, with like the ears and shit you could take off? It's also 1-to-1 scale.
I thought that's the one you said you ordered.
No, I didn't realize when I was looking at the pictures. The one that I was showing you ended up being the Hot Toys one. So the Hot Toys came out and made a 1-to-1 scale Baby Yoda as well, and that has like detachable ears that you can change and everything.
I'll be real. That $24.99 one from Walmart, like perfectly fine with.
No, I know that one. That's the one you just held up. Like that one's like that's $20 and it's great.
Speaking of which, I'm just gonna show it because I thought about it. Whatever. I made a custom Mandalorian helmet.
Do it.
Sweet.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So that's my custom Mando helmet. Whatever. Got some work to do on it, but
got
We're
10
talking
10 to
Mandalorian.
live.
I figured I'd throw it in.
Well, yeah, we're gonna be talking Mandalorian in our next segment anyway. So, but anyways, guys, that's pretty much how we feel about the Rise of Skywalker stuff and the Kenobi stuff. And I mean, let
A
us
lot
know
of
what
emotion.
let us know what you guys think. Obviously, none of us are too happy with the way Star Wars, at least the trilogy, has gone. I mean, I think we're all in agreement. Rogue One was good, and Mandalorian was good, and
Rogue
Solo
One
was surprisingly good too. But the trilogy stuff, I don't know. They just dropped the ball on it. Like I'm a nobody. I don't know what I really would have done better. Like everyone's, Monday morning quarterback, right? Like I can see the flaws and say, well, you could have done this, and it would have been way better. But fuck, I'm not
I don't
going to
even,
do it.
I don't even feel like I'm pretty humble, but I have no problem telling them that they messed that up. Like I could have done better. If the problem was the lack of a singular vision. There
Yeah,
was
true.
too many chefs in the kitchen, right?
Yeah,
I always try to see the best in things, and like it wasn't
Like
good.
I'm not blaming the individual writers. I don't think it was anybody. I think it was Disney corporate. Their poor execution of those films is what led to the issues that we have.
Yeah, they did too much reacting. Like they saw the backlash from Last Jedi. They tried to overcorrect, and they throw out Colin Trevorrow. They're just reacting. They did a lot of what like DC did early on. Like Marvel's doing this, and like so we gotta all the Snyder stuff, and like just they're just trying to catch up. That's what DC was doing at first. Was they have like totally not. They stopped doing that, and like when they start planning things out, they start making really good movies, and then
Yep.
it's this very simple concept. So I guess it's not too crazy to say that like yeah, we probably could have came up with at least a more coherent story. I don't know if the script would have been very good, but I could definitely tell a better story. Like I think I already mapped out a better story for Rise of Skywalker just 5 minutes ago with the whole Kenobi Mandalorian thing. I think that is way cool,
By the way,
and it already exists in canon.
I am gonna have to, unfortunately, leave the show a little early today.
That's
And,
fine. We were gonna
yeah, I was gonna say you want to
we'll
sign me off.
segue you out. Where do you go? First, everybody, let us know what you guys think of this stuff down in the comment section below. And second, Rick, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you online?
Rick Metz. Follow me on Instagram.
There you go. All right, you got anything?
I hate
else
to
you wanna
dip
say?
out. Have to.
You're good. You got some big boy stuff to do tomorrow.
I do. Unfortunately,
No
5
worries.
a.m.
No worries. You got anything else?
I'm good.
All right, man. We'll
It's
see you
good
later.
seeing you, Rick. Thanks
Yeah,
for having
good
me
seeing you
back
too,
on.
man. John, always a pleasure.
Absolutely. All right, sounds good. We'll see you later, Rick.
All right.
All right, guys, we're going to get into our penultimate topic here, which again is sticking into I told you this is going to be pretty much a Star Wars special. So we're going to go over the Mandalorian Season 2 images, the ones that were first revealed. There wasn't a whole lot for us to go over with it, but like I said, since we had a lot of Star Wars news to cover already, figured let's just cover anything Star Wars related and just make this a Star Wars special. So, John, did you have a chance to take a look at these Mandalorian 2 images?
No, I haven't. So I'm pretty excited to see what we've got on tap here.
Well, there's not a whole lot. Nothing new with them by any means. I mean, it's just more Mando and some more whatever Hera Devi, whatever. I can't remember what her name is, but Gina Carano's character.
Gina Carano, yeah.
Forget what her name is. But then we got one.
Glad they found a way to keep her in the series.
Yeah, she was good. I was actually quite impressed with like her acting abilities in it too. Like she was pretty good. Like she did a pretty good job. Obviously, the money maker there. We got some little baby Yo.
Yeah.
You think they're gonna finally give him like an actual name, or we're gonna ever learn what his name is, or you think they're gonna always stick to the child?
Child, I don't think we'll move away from the child anytime soon. I'm trying to think of when we found. I mean, Yoda was just always Yoda. There wasn't a. I don't know. How do you unless you find a whole. Obviously, he comes from a race of Yodas, but unless there are other beings, I don't even know what to call them.
We don't know. Well, that's the thing with Yoda's race is even in Star Wars canon, they've never given Yoda's race like a name or a planet.
Yeah.
that they even know from, which is and like Rick was saying before. I can't remember if he said it off camera. But we just watched just for shits and giggles. We watched the 8th episode, like the finale of The Mandalorian earlier, and they tease for anyone who, I guess, light spoiler alert if you haven't seen Mandalorian by now. They tease at the end though, like the armorer, the Mandalorian, the armorer, the one that makes the armor and everything.
Yeah.
At the end of it, they essentially like say like, Mando, like your job is to get this kid, this child back to his race. Like that's your job. You're gonna find so like season 2 is essentially set up in some capacity in that Mando is going to be trying to find the planet of Yodas or Yodels, and like that's it. So like, but my question I posed to Rick, which I'll pose to you now, is like, do you think they'll actually give us that and actually like flush out Yoda's species and planet and everything? Because that's something that they literally have never done in any Star Wars book, anything canon wise. There's never been, George never gave him a name or anything. It was just Yoda, and then there's Yaddle. There's either Yaddle or Yodel. I can't remember which one it was.
That's right.
For the girl version, and then that was it. And I told Rick what I think they're honestly probably going to do. So you heard it here first. I don't know how many seasons the show is going to last. So I don't know how much Baby Yoda is going to age, right? And like, I don't know if they could do a time skip, and we kind of went over this before. The way they did Baby Yoda's age here doesn't even make sense when you compare it to how old we know Yoda was, because Yoda was like 900 years old, I believe, when he faded away in Empire or whatever, right? Or Return of the Jedi. I can't remember
Jedi.
when he died. Yeah, Jedi. So he was like 900, right?
Yep.
And if you look at him being an infant at 50, at least the same race of Yoda, Baby Yoda's an infant at 50. Him reaching age 900 would put him at like a 25-year-old.
Yeah.
Like if you were to correlate that to like human years. So like
Sure.
the age thing, they already kind of fucked up on, in my opinion, because it doesn't make any sense. It would have made more sense for them to say he's like 20 years old and still an infant.
Yeah.
Like, and then like he'd be like 60 when he's 900. Not 25. Unless they just like rapidly, all of a sudden, when he turns 100, he's speaking sentences. Like maybe they do just develop very oddly in the brain, and that's why Yoda talked in like backwards tongue.
Yeah,
because they never. But I don't know. We won't know.
They're so in tune with the Force, and they're so focused on that aspect of it that their speech development just doesn't correspond or doesn't at the same rate. Yeah,
who knows? But I think what I pitched to Rick was, I bet they're gonna go through this adventure in the Mandalorian, trying to get him back to wherever, like whatever planet the Yodas and the Yaddles come from. But it's never gonna happen. Like maybe they find the planet and we get a name of the planet, but then something happens where they get shot down and they like end up going off course or something. And then you get a whole season with them crash landed somewhere or whatever. But then over this time period, little Yoda can actually talk now, right? And I think it's like maybe going to end with him saying like something along the lines of like, Mando's his family now. Like he doesn't want to go. Like he doesn't want to go find other people. He wants to stay with Mando. You know what I mean? Like family, you are. Like know, like that kind of thing. Like,
definitely.
That's what I think is going to happen, which is going to be like a cock tease for everybody who wants to know more about the Yoda stuff. But it's also going to be, I don't know, I guess poetic in a way where it's like he just wants to stay with Mando.
I'm all in if that's what they're doing. I also could easily see them, like you said, finding reasons to not find them over the course of the series, but then the last episode of the series is, bittersweet with Mando finally getting him, turning him over. But I think for all their wrongs, I think Disney or something, I think the caretakers of the Star Wars universe learned something from Midi-chlorians and realized sometimes you don't need to over-explain everything. Some of the mystery is good to be left in there. So we might. I think you're right that we probably won't ever get a full reveal of that race and those beings and what they are.
I think too, like depending on what it would be. Like, I mean, I'm sure they could explain it in some way that would be like kind of cool, but at the same time, I don't really know how interesting it would be to just learn that, yeah, there's just a whole race of Yodas and they're all just as force sensitive and they're just like these super powerful force users that just do nothing. Like, because like we'd have only seen Yaddle and Yoda. And like, so if there was this whole planet full of Yodas, where were they at when the Empire was, taking over and the world was going to shit?
Like, just shut that stuff down when they could have flown in and been like,
right. They'd be like the Guardians of Oa, just been like, they come in and be like, let's go take them out, dude, and like, be bada bing, bada boom. So I don't know. There would be kind of like I don't know, some mystery would be kind of nice, but I would like a planet name. I think that would be a cool thing to at least give us a name of a planet. I just hope it doesn't start with like Yo in any way. Like, because I think how far can you really go with? We got Yaddle and we got Yoda, and then it's from planet like Yodi or something. It's like you're gonna run out if like they all named Yo something. Like, just be too much. Be too much.
Yeah.
We got some Tusken Raiders coming in the Mandalorian season 2, though. That's pretty much, I guess, the only. This is like the only new thing because there's only that one shot of a Tusken Raider, I think, in the first season.
So does this mean we're going to Tatooine for this? Planet somewhere.
I mean, this looks like Tatooine again here. They went there in the first one, so like maybe. Okay. I hope it's better than that Tatooine episode in the first one. That was a terrible episode. Like, I'm sorry for what's his name, Dave Filoni, like, or Filoni rather. Like, I apologize because he did the first episode, and I love Dave Filoni and everything he did with Clone Wars and Rebels and everything. He's great. He knows. I mean, he's pretty much like mini George Lucas at this point. Like, he knows more about Star Wars than anybody working on The Mandalorian. Like, probably 100%. And that episode just sucked, man. It was so bad. The acting was bad. The story was bad. The characters bad. Like, everything about that episode was bad. Still love the show.
I guess I'm a little less judgmental. I just think about how many of my favorite TV series of all times. You look at those first seasons and you have those missteps along the way because as much as they have a good idea about what the show is, they're still trying to find their voice and to find exactly what they're doing with it. And you get a one-off here.
Oh, I get that, but like that episode though was just so out of touch with the rest of the show. Like in tone and everything. Like, and literally like the acting was literally garbage. Like that kid they had was garbage. That gunslinger dude. Like he was like, and I apologize, I'm not trying to insult him. He might be a great actor in something else, but like what they got him to do and the way he delivered his lines, and it was bad. Like it was like it looked like a fan film. Like that whole episode just gave me the vibe of a fan film. It didn't. Not that like all fan films are bad, and not that, like I said, I love the show, but like you look at like even like I said, the first episode was directed by Dave Filoni, and that was a good episode. I really liked that one. Like the first episode was actually like a really good episode, but that episode was just bad. And it was like it was a lot of just like, oh look, they're in the same bar that Luke was in. Like it was just like a lot of like that kind of stuff too. Like so it was like, it was ever. I'm excited to learn more about this Darksaber though, and how Moff Gideon got it, dude. Like like that was I did not expect that at all. Like just like I didn't expect the Baby Yoda reveal in like the first episode, right? Like no one saw that coming. Like they kept. I got to give them all props on the show for keeping the Baby Yoda stuff under complete wraps, because like at no point in time did anybody know that thing existed until that first episode came out. So like
nobody even like the Vegas odds on that would have been like 6 billion to 1. You could have bet $1 that a baby Yoda was going to show up and you would have, been set for life if Vegas was odds on that. That was nobody. That wasn't even on anybody's radar.
Yeah, and it was funny. Did you watch the behind the scenes, like documentary they did for Mandalorian? I haven't finished it yet, but they had an episode where they were talking about like somehow I watched it when it first came out, and then I pretty much just completely forgot it existed. So I just watched a couple episodes of it the other day. But they had an episode where they were talking about like Baby Yoda and everything, and like they were going into like how they were able to keep it under wraps. But like the concept art that they had for like they had like so many different artists trying to like design what this thing would end up looking like. And it was funny because like you saw a lot of them there, and like a lot of them are really ugly. Like a lot of them did not look good. And like eventually they showed like Jon Favreau was doing like a voiceover for this part where they were showing the concept art for everything. And then they finally show like, and Jon Favreau's like, and then we finally saw this one picture that X guy did. I forget his name, and it was one single sketch of him looking like you see him in the show. So they had like all these things, and they finally came across this one random picture of just like him just sitting there looking up, and it was like that's the one. Like that's the one. And so it was just really cool to see. So if you haven't watched the documentary, go watch the documentary because it is pretty cool. But in the end, what I'm again most excited to learn about this Darksaber stuff. And like, how do you feel about Ahsoka Tano coming into it?
I'm excited. I get a live action version of her. That's I don't know. I'm all for it. I think when you kind of need that foil, the Jedi foil to go to counter that. So yeah, I think that'll be interesting. I like that they're expanding the cast out a little bit. I just hope they don't go too crazy with it. I hope it doesn't become keep the core focus on Mando and the baby and the child.
Yeah. One thing I know they did say was I forget where the article was, but Jon Favreau was talking about the second season, and he said that like with this one they were able to kind of, he referred to Game of Thrones, use Game of Thrones as an example, but to tell like multiple stories at the same time. Like so, like I think it sounded like they were essentially just going to be splitting people up. Like like probably like Gina Carano and like X person are going to be out doing this, and then Mando's going to be out doing this, and who knows what antics Baby Yoda's getting into. Like, so I'm glad they like. I like all the characters, and I'm glad they're returning. I was kind of bummed that, I mean, spoiler alert, but I was bummed that IG is no longer there because IG was like the best character. Dude. IG was great, so I was hoping we'd get more IG. Anything Taika Waititi does is always pretty good. So like I wanted more IG. First.
I feel like I mean he's a droid, right? I feel like that's, if you're going to bring somebody back, that's.
Here's the thing though. Rick said the same thing, and I was like, yeah, but dude, and that like the thing is like, and in Star Wars, like these droids end up developing their own. They're more like AI, right? They all have their own personality. Like you can make astro droids, but like there was no other astro droid like R2D2. Like he had a mind of his own. C-3PO, there were plenty of protocol droids. No one was like C-3PO, and with IG, at least with IG-11 here, he started off as programmed as, an IG unit. It was, a bounty hunter IG unit, and then he got reprogrammed into being a nurse, and he was still IG, but he was now a nurse. So he turned into his own thing. So unless they were able to actually extract his AI and back it up, which they weren't, because you literally saw him just walk out there and detonate himself, he's gone. Like if they bring him back, it's just to please fans and bring him back.
Not a memory core sitting somewhere in the.
There's no way. Like it's like they even like hyped up how powerful that
C-3PO had a complete memory wipe that was undoable in The Rise of Skywalker, and then guess what? At the end of it,
we don't talk about Rise of we don't talk about Rise of Skywalker. All right, That one you can't use that as an example.
I'm just saying, depending on where they want to take the story.
If they were going to bring anybody back, then yeah, they could bring him back, but that's fine. I honestly, I told Rick this too when we were watching it. Like, I want to see more. I forget what the race is called, but like Bosk, the bounty hunter, the lizard man, the lizard dude. I'd like to see more bounty hunters like that, more alien bounty hunters. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I think I don't know if the time frame matches up right, but like with Ahsoka Tano out there, they could always introduce someone like Cad Bane or something. Like, granted, I always complain, and I think I've thoroughly complained about them keeping things a bit too familiar and reusing all these like characters that are pre-existing, like Ahsoka Tano, for instance. At the very least, with her though, we've never had a live action one, so it's like it's kind of a gray area. But at the same time, I don't know if I want to see them like keep reusing characters, but if they do, I'd like them to like serve a purpose, you know. So hopefully, Ahsoka like serves a purpose and actually like doesn't show up just to show up.
Yeah,
because you could kind of chalk it up to, at least without seeing what she's going to be doing, that Dave Filoni created her. Like, that's his character, his creation. So he's the pretty much number 2 guy on Mandalorian, just right after Jon Favreau. So you could pretty much just chalk it up to like what Dave Filoni wanted her. It's his character.
He brought his baby into this universe.
Yeah, which I'm totally fine with. But I just hope that like she does something, like, you know,
Yeah.
like I hope she does something and it's not just there.
Yeah, hopefully she has some sort of reason for being in the story beyond just, hey, look, it's Ahsoka. Yeah,
Yeah.
Hopefully that's
like
we'll
I could see her being there, just to kind of give exposition to Mando to educate him on what Jedi are. And she'd be a good person to do it, depending on the timeline, because she, at this point, I would imagine it's during her like defection from the Jedi Order. So she would pretty much be able to give Mando a pretty unbiased viewpoint on what he just calls sorcerers. You know, they don't even know what the hell Jedi are. At least Mando doesn't. So I could, if they use her in that way to like kind of like exposition dump to him what the Jedi Order is all about and stuff, then like it could be. I mean, that would be useful enough in my mind. But who the fuck?
Yeah, well, that with the Dark Blade and everything, that could. I think you're onto something. That could be the route he goes to try and investigate what the Dark Blade is and why. I don't know. Yeah, that's an interesting thought. I considered.
Well, I guess too, in some ways,
he may actively seek her out versus her kind of being drawn into the plot.
Well, she could be drawn into it by news of the Darksaber too.
Yep.
Because you got to think she was with like the Mandalorians for a while. Like she got close. Like Sabine was with her, so she was like pretty close to like Mandalorian lore in a lot of ways. So if the Darksaber went missing, she'd probably be pretty interested in like wanting to know who the hell has it, because the last time it left Mandalore, Darth Maul had it. So I mean, it's whenever that goes missing, it's probably not good news. So if she's you know, out there, maybe with Sabine, maybe not at the time, she'd probably be wanting to get that Darksaber and track it down and at least not use it herself, but maybe get it back to Mandalore or something. Like, you know, because if I imagine they could use it to where like she gets word that an imp, you know, had it, and it's like, well, might as well go make that not happen, because that's not good news. Like, you know, but who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. But in the end, I'm excited for Mandalorian season 2, even though the images weren't much. But like I said, I like
nice
Mandalorian.
Tease. I mean, we're a month and a half out still. We'll get a trailer in another 2 or 3 weeks probably.
Honestly, I expect a trailer probably easily within the next week or so, because they first dropped us the release date, and then like a week later we got the pictures. So we're looking at the probably within, I would imagine early is like this week. We would have it, because then you're only like a month and a half out. So it'd be a good time for a first trailer.
Well, and business wise, you're trying to drive additional viewers or bring viewers back to Disney Plus, and you're coming off the heels of.
That's had a good idea.
Uh-oh.
They missed the mark. They could have they were trying to pimp out people buying Mulan on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
They should have been like, you buy Mulan on Disney Plus, you get exclusive trailer to Mandalorian season 2.
Mandalorian, yeah.
There you go. They wanted to make money, and
Star Wars money tied in there.
that's what I'm saying. People would have went out of their way to buy it then.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. More people would have bought Mulan. People would have been pissed off, but like I gotta pay for a damn trailer essentially. But
well, I mean, the buzz around Mulan and see basically a theatrical film from the comfort of your home they release. We're going to be a month out of that if we get a trailer in the next week or two. So yeah, it would be the perfect time to try and keep the Disney Plus hype train going.
Yeah, that's what I would expect. It goes. That's normally how it happens anyway. Like normally you get the pictures, and then normally it's like a couple days after that. Because like typically, if this was like a movie, you'd have your variety spread of all the behind the scenes pictures and interviews, and then you get a poster the next day or week, and then boom, trailers out, and like we're on that track. So I'm sure we'll get a trailer here soon anyway. So. But anyways, guys, what do you think about the Mandalorian 2 set photos, and are you excited for Mandalorian Season 2? Do you think we're ever going to learn about Baby Yoda and his race of people, or do you kind of think like me that we're probably just going to get teased with it? Maybe not even this season, but I feel like we could go the entire series, maybe learn the name of the planet or something, and then boom, it's taken away from us and the show ends without us ever finding out. Whatever it is, let us know down in the comment section below. All right, so our final topic here today, guys, is going to be about the Obi-Wan series starring Ewan McGregor himself. And he recently did an interview here a couple days ago. Actually, I think it was yesterday. I say a couple days ago, but it was yesterday. It's late right now. But he shed some light on I think, John, you and I were talking about this too. I mean, he kind of said nothing he didn't like give anything away about the story or anything kind of, new information wise. He was pretty much just saying like, hey, yeah, he's like kind of more excited about doing this than he was about the prequels, which I thought was pretty interesting. And then there was one line, I don't know if it's in this exact interview I have pulled up here, but he said that it's going to be like a one-off story, which I think everybody was kind of expecting it to be a one-off story. I don't know, I don't know. Since they're working in such a small time frame, I don't think anyone really expected like multiple seasons of this to go on. But at the same time, we didn't really have any kind of 100% confirmation about it. So that's some interesting news, and that kind of makes me happy about it in one way, because as much as I am like looking forward to seeing Ewan McGregor return to Obi-Wan, because arguably he was the absolute best part of the prequels. I mean, I think unanimously anybody can say whatever they want about the prequels, but I think everybody would say that he did a pretty damn good job as Obi-Wan and made that character his own and made it, he did a really good job making it both likable, made it relate to, Sir Alec Guinness's Obi-Wan in some ways, but also being like clearly his own Obi-Wan, but at no point do I never think of them as different characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's the same guy. So I think he did his job very well in that regard. And I don't know, I guess it was also kind of interesting too to hear him say like he's pretty blunt about like knowing that how much I don't know, like people didn't really like the prequels and like the kind of he's very ear to the ground in that way. And he says where's the quote here? I don't know. He goes on to say, I don't want to just like search and read here just to find the quote, but actually, I think he says right here, it's like, our first films weren't much liked when they came out, but my generation who loved the first one, and he's like, I think people in our generation wanted to feel the way that they felt when they saw those first three movies when they were kids, and George Lucas wanted to take our ones in a different direction. He had a different idea, and I mean, you know what I mean? Like he knows. Like he knows, like we were saying earlier, George had a plan for his movies, and he stuck to the plan, whether or not people liked it or not. He just
Yeah.
went with it, and I don't know. I like that, and then just like hearing him say that he's excited to come back to it. So
Well, it's all these quotes are definitely encouraging. I like when you get an actor who's honest, because then it makes all the typical PR stuff, like him saying he's more excited for these than he was the prequels. It makes it ring a little more. If he's being honest with the other stuff he's saying, why would he be blowing smoke with this comment? So that's encouraging. I'll also say that I was actually a little surprised to hear that it might be a one-off thing. Not for any other reason other than when it was announced as a series. Had it been announced, had they just stuck the word mini in front, then I would have been like, oh, okay, yeah, perfect, one-off thing. The fact that it was presented as a Star Wars series in the same vein as like The Mandalorian, which is clearly going to be an ongoing thing, I was surprised to see as well. Not that that's a bad thing. That could be the best choice in the world for them, because as we've seen time and time again, plenty of series don't know when to end. And if they have a specific story and they have, they can really focus on their story and make it, not have, extraneous episodes that don't tie in. They're just fillers. You can weed all that out by having focus and telling a singular story that you want. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm all for it. I just was a little surprised because I to be more vain of a Mandalorian.
well, I think too with that, like this project. I mean, initially was going to be like there was it was going to be a movie, and then it was going to be an 8-part series, like an 8-episode to series in general. And then there was rumors that they didn't know, like they like a while back they said that they completely scrapped all the scripts that they had written for this thing, and they had someone else come in to rewrite everything. So a lot of people are thinking, okay, are they going to just go back to just making it like a movie but still put it on Disney Plus, so it's just one 2-hour adventure, just a regular movie? Or are they just really gonna, maybe they're gonna do a 4-episode like miniseries and just call it like a 4-hour movie essentially, and like cut it that way. So it does make it kind of puts it more up in the air as to where, like, I don't know. I don't want them to do 8 episodes just to do 8 episodes, just because that's what Mandalorian did. I would almost feel, depending, and obviously this all is contingent on what their idea for the story is. I feel like with the time period they're kind of stuck in, I don't know if you really need like 8 hours to tell like a compelling story. I mean, there's like an 11-year gap of time here, and like we know most of it he spent just being a hermit on Tatooine watching over Luke. So I mean, I don't know what else he did and whatnot there. So that's kind of like, it's like a nice time window for them to kind of do whatever they want, but at the same time, they are limited in some ways.
Well, and do you think that they could, with the knowledge that this is probably and potentially a one and done type deal, do you think maybe this is a time jump situation where you get the first few months after he's handed Luke over, and you get how he kind of establishes himself and how he goes about his interactions with them, and then you jump 4 years in the future for the next episode, and you see some event like somebody's figured out that Luke is there and they're coming again, and Obi-Wan has to stop him, and then you jump 4 years in the future, and so you get little snippets of his time, and then the last episode is, the day before Luke comes and finds him in A New Hope. You kind of bridge that gap over a period of time.
Do you think they'll end it that way? You think they'll end it kind of like they did Rogue One, like have it tie right in? Or because I for whatever reason in my own head canon, I kind of had it in my mind that they were gonna tell like a story, like let's say he's been there for 2 years, like, so he's been watching over Luke for 2 years, but then so he's still young, like this shit just happened, you know what I mean? But he knows, like, after 2 years of time, he has a pretty good idea that, like, Luke's being well looked after, right? But then someone comes and finds him from his past, be it just someone from the Republic, another Jedi, who knows what it is, but someone comes and needs his help, because just like Leia said, like he's their only hope, right? He's the only one they knew he was there. He's the only person who can help them, and it takes him off world, and he has to actually do something, and he has to find someone to like stay to look after Luke, and like, cause he's that's his thing now, right? So, but
Mhm.
this is why I kind of was expecting it to maybe be like something with like the Mandalorians in some way, and they because he's got that whole thing with the Clone Wars with that girl, like,
Yeah.
so they could always like explore like something like that, like because he would leave to go handle that stuff because he did during the Clone Wars. He spent a lot of time on Mandalore. So,
Yeah.
like, they could always, like, and not to mention, since Mandalorian's, like, popping off right now, it'd be an
Sure.
easy way to be an easy in for the audience. And then also, like, if people have watched Clone Wars and stuff like that and actually know Obi-Wan's history with the Mandalorians, then it would just actually make a lot of sense for him to have to leave. So long as maybe it's a Mandalorian who comes and needs his help. So then he like convinces Mandalorians to stay and watch Luke, because then he'll feel safe enough to leave. At least he'll be like, okay, I can go like do this, but I need someone to watch this kid, or I'm not leaving. Like that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
I hate to even say this because I hate to think that decisions are made this way, but
I think I
from
know what
a
you're gonna say.
business perspective, yeah, tie the two together. I mean, I know for a fact I have a couple of friends who, when news dropped when the Mandalorian was coming out, returning, they said, "Okay, well, I'm gonna have to pick my Disney Plus subscription back up as soon as that comes out." So I have friends that they add and drop these services when the shows that they want to see are on. So
Right.
why not tie it into Mandalorian? People another reason to continue having the service in the downtime between seasons of Mandalorian, because hopefully I'm guessing Obi-Wan will be running concurrently with Mandalorian. So yeah,
Yeah.
from a business perspective, that makes perfect sense to try and tie those to get shows.
Yeah, and they wouldn't have to do it necessarily to where like, and I wouldn't necessarily suggest that they cross paths with Pedro Pascal's Mandalorian, because we don't really know what the time frame is really. Like
Yeah,
between the Obi-Wan show in general, like who knows? We just know that it's going to be in like that 11-year window or whatever it is. Maybe it's a
yeah,
16-year window. I don't know what it is. But it's just that time period from when he gets Luke to Tatooine to, his aunt and uncle, and before A New Hope. Like that's it. So maybe 16 years. I guess that would
yeah,
make more sense because that's when Luke was 16, right? And A New Hope. I think
yeah.
that's what he was supposed to be, even though Mark Hamill was older. But um, so I mean, if Ahsoka Tano's still around, I mean, I don't know. I guess they could, it could be a completely concurrent thing.
Yeah,
Like they could, I guess, theoretically make it to where they could cross over with the Mandalorian directly. I would
yeah,
just think that you could connect it in a way just with Mandalorians in general, not Pedro Pascal. And I just think for like, because that's the thing with Mandalorian, just because it was like Star Wars in a lot of ways, but like Mandalorian like is appealing to like a lot of people that aren't just Star Wars fans. Like,
hmm,
like, yes, it's big in Star Wars, and Star Wars has like a mass global appeal, but there's a lot of people I know who like don't really like Star Wars all that much, but they like the Mandalorian. Like,
yeah,
so like I've at least found that Mandalorian has had a little bit different of an effect on people, as to where like it can reach your non-typical Star Wars fans, and people find it compelling. So I could see them kind of just wanting to just have some connective tissue in some way, just for fans, just to like, now that they're familiar with Mandalorians, and Obi-Wan has a history with Mandalorians in general, why not
hmm,
connect them? And it would just make sense. Like there's a lot they could do with it, and you could inherently learn more about the Mandalorian by that, like just Obi-Wan kind of teaching you this more Mandalorian lore. Like,
Yeah.
because you would just learn more stuff about Mandalorian culture by him going off and doing something on Mandalore.
Yeah.
But who knows? It could literally be anything. I just think it'd be kind of boring for it to be like, because I know a lot of people are like, "Do you think they'll just bring Darth Maul back?" It could be because that's how, for anyone, I don't know, if you've never seen Clone Wars, like, surprise, like Darth Maul's
Or
not.
so.
To what? Yeah, or Solo. If you've never seen Solo, like, Darth Maul survived, the prequel. He did a lot of shit. He did a lot of stuff in that time period. He took over Mandalore as being one of them, and he had the Darksaber that Moff Gideon has, and like all this stuff. He did a lot of stuff before he died. He even went and fought Darth Sidious. Didn't win, but and he's got a brother. So his brother is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like, but people were
So-
like, "Well, you think he'll bring him back?" And it's like, it would go against canon since Clone Wars is canon. Like, they can't really.
Yeah.
They'd have to retell that same story, which I don't really know how compelling it'd be to do that.
I didn't think about this, but when you were talking and you were talking about, I was talking about you do those time jumps and the last episode is like the day before Luke comes and gets him. But we know from A New Hope that Luke knows who Obi-Wan is. It's old man.
That old
Ben.
hermit.
Yeah, the old hermit. So you know that he knows who he is, which had some interactions. So with not being able to obviously have Hamill come and play that part and play opposite him, then I think you're the only way, and you got to figure they're going to have Ewan McGregor's character meet Luke at some point during that series. You get right. I mean, he's there watching.
Maybe like a kid comes up.
Exactly. So the only way you can do it is to cast a young child as young child Luke. And
Right.
that way you're not doing some weird either CGI stuff where you're trying to de-age Mark Hamill and have him do it. The much easier route off cast a young actor, a very young actor, and have him interact with him. But I mean, right? They've got, if he's watching over him, you got to have that scene at some point.
You'd think. I don't know if you necessarily need it though. Will
Okay.
they probably do it? Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, they probably will. But if they do it, it would probably. I mean, it all depends on the time frame they want to do this story in. Because, like I said, I'm trying to put myself in the mind of like an Obi-Wan, and if I were Obi-Wan, I wouldn't want to, like, let's say this, whatever he has to do takes him off world. Okay, like, I'm going under that mindset, and I don't think me being Obi-Wan would want to leave him without anyone there to like look after him, unless he was of a certain age, like at least maybe 5 or 6. So maybe he's not just because he could handle himself at 5 or 6 by any means, but because he's been there for 5 years and nothing's happened. He's learned that no one's came after him in 5 years. He knows that his aunt and uncle are keeping him safe and like yada yada yada. So he would be like a lot more comfortable to like leave and like not be watching over him for X amount of time. So
All right. You've got my brain jumping all over the place. You're talking about him going off world or something. What if what if he gets a message from is it Jimmy Smits, Bail Organa, and says that there's an issue with Leia and he has to go investigate something that's going on with Leia, and that's what takes him off world. Because Jimmy Smits they could have come back, right? He's still
I mean
he could reprise his role for it.
He could be playing Bail Organa. Well, that's the thing too, though. I mean, they could do a lot with that. I wouldn't actually be surprised if they could use Bail Organa even just to be the one who gets in contact with him, to have him do a mission, because he knows him. He knows where he's at, because obviously he has Leia and then Ben has Luke. So if Bail needed assistance, on Alderaan or something, or Alderaan's blowing up right now. No, it hasn't been blown up yet. It hasn't been blown up yet. Yeah, it hasn't been blown up yet. So like, I think that would make more sense. Like, I think that'd probably be the best way to do it, because Obi would trust Bail Bale would be
Yep.
able to send people to watch over Luke in his stead.
Mhm.
So whether it has anything to do with like Leia and like being in trouble or anything, like because she's probably going to be she's same age as Luke, and if he's
Sure.
watching over her, who knows? But he would be a really good way to tie in. Like there's trust there.
Yep.
Like he would leave. Obi-Wan would definitely leave to go help Bale do something.
Yeah.
And like so, I think that's pretty that's a pretty genius idea, just including him in general. And it's just like more connective tissue. Like
Lucasfilm, contact us at honestanduneducated@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to break this story down for you.
We got plenty of ideas, especially ways you could redo the sequel trilogy. So or just fix it in extended canon in some way. So you let us know. And again, that email is honestanduneducated@gmail.com. Honestanduneducated@gmail.com. Hit us up. But yeah, I think that's actually a pretty good idea. I think using Bail Organa would be like great. It's actually smart too, because like Jimmy Smits he'd be about the same age. Like he would look fine. Like he
Sure.
would look perfect. Like,
He's aged just as much as Ewan McGregor has.
yeah, that would work out really well. And
So,
again, like there's trust there. He would leave to go help him. They would do whatever. That's a good idea, man. But I'm excited for the show regardless. I wish the only thing I want to know is more about like the time period and what they're gonna do, because like it just leaves a lot of questions, and it also is like they're so limited in that time frame. But there's also so much they could do, assuming they kind of take that route. Like I said, and if they have to take him off world for some reason, you could do anything. You keep him on Tatooine, like really not much he can do. Like, what's he gonna do on Tatooine? Because we know nothing really happened until Darth Maul showed up, and then I mean that fight didn't last very long either.
Yeah.
Like so that was kind of disappointing. So I'd like to see them. I would have really, if we were gonna like retcon stuff, the only thing I would be fine with them retconning is the Darth Maul fight, like the final one. Did you see that in the Rebels?
I haven't seen the end of Rebels. No.
Well, spoiler alert. Right? Darth Maul finds Obi-Wan on Tatooine, like, and he's like old man Ben, and he kills him in like 2 seconds. Like Obi-Wan kills Darth Maul in like 2 seconds. It's like not even a fight. It was like really disappointing, like in a lot of ways, And it's like I would have much rather them had like, I don't know, a more epic battle or something.
Sure.
Like I don't know. But I mean, it was kind of poetic because he was like, Darth Maul's been gone through so much shit, and then like Obi-Wan just like kind of like easily beats him, and he just kind of like holds him there while he dies, and like Obi wasn't like mad at him or anything, so it was like kind of nice, I guess. But Darth Maul finally gets like peace in some way. He's like, he was almost just like a misunderstood dude, man. Darth Maul was like the best character that Star Wars has ever had on screen, and they ruined him in the movies because they never used him. Like he didn't do anything in the Phantom Menace other than look cool. But then he had all this rich lore that happened in the Clone Wars and Rebels, and does so much cool stuff. Bring him back. And then now Solo, he could have popped off in Solo 2, and now that's never gonna fucking happen. That made no money. Just disappointing. I just want more Darth Maul.
One day.
Yeah,
one day you'll get a Darth Maul, just his own solo movie.
That would have been Solo too.
Yeah, but he would have been a tangent character to the Solo main character. I think you might. I don't know. You just give Disney time. They'll find a way to monetize.
That's true. Yeah. I guess the problem is just like mainly like I said, like that's why I wouldn't want them to bring him back, even just to like redo that scene, just because like it's already been played out. We've seen so much Darth Maul at this point. Like it's all like extended canon and like the Clone Wars and stuff, but it's like he's had it was a long arc. Like, there was like how many seasons of Clone Wars? Like 6 or 7 or whatever, and he was in like all of it. Did you watch the most recent thing that they did, like on Disney Plus, Clone Wars?
No.
You didn't watch that?
No, I haven't kept up with it.
You should watch it. Watch the last 4 episodes. You don't have to watch anything else. Open up the most recent season of Clone Wars and watch the last 4 episodes. It goes over the entire Clone Wars. Like it goes over Order 66.
Yep.
And it shows Order 66 from Ahsoka Tano's perspective with the clones.
Okay.
So like they all turn on her, like while she's like living through it and stuff. And then like Darth Maul is there, obviously, because that was it. But so it's like Ahsoka Tano and Darth Maul in these last 4 episodes are like the main characters, and then it shows like Anakin turning into Darth Vader at the very end. Like
Okay.
then it shows how that affected like Ahsoka and everything. Then you see later, I guess you didn't watch Clone Wars and Rebels?
I watched Clone Wars the first few seasons of it.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. I honestly got rid of it. And so
Right.
I was like relying on the DVDs when they
Yeah.
were coming out. And then at some point I didn't catch up with them. It's
Right.
one of those things like I have on my list to go back and catch up on. But
Yeah, well, go watch those just the last 4 episodes of that season, just because it was a nice like this. It was nice to see all that stuff happen from like Ahsoka's perspective with all the clones turning on her, and then obviously the stuff with Darth Maul was cool, and then seeing her see Anakin become Vader was also just. I've said poetic like 15 times today, but it was poetic for her, like you to see her go through that, because then in
Sure.
Rebels. Because we had already seen in Rebels her confrontation with Vader himself, and like that's when she kind of found out it was Anakin, 'cause, like she didn't know it was Anakin. But then like with this, like I don't know, it was nice. You should watch it. It's good stuff. But good stuff.
yeah.
But that pretty much covers everything I had here today, John. You got anything else you wanted to say? You got anything?
Yeah, it's been enjoyable. I'm good.
Okay, cool, man. Well, where can everybody find you online?
Nightwing. Hey.
Well, there you go. All right. You can follow me just at Sir Rob Bifo. Let us know down in the comment section below what you guys think of all this Star Wars news that came out. Like I said, this was pretty much a Star Wars special today. But what do you think they're gonna do with Obi-Wan? Because actually, we didn't get too much news out of it, but I'm real excited to see Obi-Wan return and Ewan McGregor return to the role of Obi-Wan, and I'm happy to see that he's he's pretty much just as excited as the fans are to see him return. So that's always good. Again, guys, you can email us at honestanduneducated@gmail.com. Submit any topics and questions there, and we can cover them on the show. And we will also be uploading this to all podcast platforms of choice. So Spotify, iTunes, whatever, it'll all be there if you use the audio only editions, everything. Be sure to like and subscribe. That's it for me, though. I'm Rob Bifo. Take care.